Alright, so I'm just about to order all our new fuel system for this thing. Quietly stoked that we are doing the fuel system. It would have been pretty good content to know sort of how far the stock fuel system would get us, but it wouldn't have been very far. Certainly not the sort of potential that this thing has. So anyway, I'm stoked quietly because just quietly I'm totally fangirling over this freaking car. I would really love one. I mean, personally, from my experience, as much as I would love to do a turboed one, just from our experiences with heat management and stuff, I'd probably still love to do a supercharged one. But turbo works out cheaper if you can do most of it yourself. Works out way cheaper, but anyway. I just freaking love this car. Like, Series 2, VESS, sunroof, manual, boosted 6 litre. So we are having a few weird issues with it. Heaps of weird error codes. It's not reading any oil pressure, so often that usually points to a sensor. All stuff we'll have to look at, but for now we'll just wait until we've got our fuel system just before we start spending any more time chasing that up. So all of that this morning, hopefully it's here by the end of the week and we can start looking at getting this thing really happening. Alright guys, so I had a wedding over the weekend, so I didn't work Monday, but Rex did, and we got the VE, or Rex got the VE running on its new fuel system. So we have the KPM 800 horsepower fuel module in the tank. Unfortunately, this is one of the VEs, which we find to be the majority, where you can't actually access the I suppose the fuel module from the top. Some of them, you pull the back seat out and you can chip away some body deadening, and there is an access hatch where you can get at the fuel module, which is awesome, but most of them aren't like that. So unfortunately, Rex had to drop the fuel tank, which is what we had to do with the supercharger one we built as well. We had to do the same thing. So it makes it a pain of a job. It's a big job. You got to drop the cross member, the whole rear cross member has to come down a little bit so that you can get the tank out. Not to mention, you know, the exhaust, tail shaft, all that sort of stuff. So it's a pretty big job. So Rex managed to get that sorted on Monday, which is awesome, and got the new injectors in it and got a tune loaded in, or a calibration, so that it would run, which is where we are now. So as it sits, this thing's dangerously close to being ready for the dyno. We've ordered a filter for the turbo. Not too keen on dynoing it with nothing over the turbo to protect the compressor. It's just a bit sketchy for it to manage just to suck something in. You know, it can do a lot of damage, which you know, it doesn't matter how quick you are, you won't save anything if it sucks something in the turbo. So we've got an air filter on the way. MSA, Kingsley there at MSA in Brendale sorted us out with that, so he's express posted that to us, so hopefully it'll be here ASAP. And at the moment we're just pretty much plumbing up the e-boost and everything else ready to go, so that we are ready for the dyno, which is awesome. So stoked with this thing, keen to get it on the dyno. But yeah, a few things have been done pretty wrong. Gonna have to pull the solenoid back out for the e-boost and fix all the fittings on it and stuff. And just trying to sort out, there's a boost gauge inside we're trying to sort out as well. But apart from that, we're getting pretty close to it. It's also not reading oil pressure properly. It's just reading like 140 psi of oil pressure all the time, which is pretty typical of these things. They always seem to ruin sensors. So we do have spare sensors in stock, so we'll probably change that out. So we did have other tunes we were doing today. We managed to get through one of them. This is the second one. Power's gone out though, so with the power out, there's not a lot we can actually do. So we'll sort this out as best we can, and then that's probably going to be the day. It's hectic windy out here at the moment lately. Today's just been outrageously windy, but there's no storm activity or anything. So it's worrying because the power's gone out everywhere and it's windy. So chances are the reason the power's gone out is because there's a tree over a line or a line down or something, and that's not something that's going to be fixed in a hurry. So we'll pretty much sort this out as best we can and probably call it a day and go home at this stage.
You just have a look at that boost gauge and that e-boost.
Yep.
I'm going to have a good old suck on this.
You're going to suck and blow? What'd you say on the e-boost? Yep. Oh, yep.
I've had one on the pillar.
Yep. It's a good suck you got there.
What did I get to?
Oh, what did we get to? What is that? Is that, yeah. Oh, about 17 inches of mercury, 18.
Oh. The old sucking skills haven't let me down yet.
Yeah, so.
Oh, you can't blow that hard though. Like, you can lucky, see how much boost I can get, but I reckon it'll be stuff all. Maybe 2 pound.
Oh, yeah, about 2 pound.
Still, that's good. That means I don't have to stuff with anything under the dash, which makes me really happy.
So, all right, that's getting this thing getting ready. So yeah, it's a bit worrying because that if that's the case, which it seems to be the case, we may not have power for a little while, which sucks because this week we've got 7 cars to tune. And I didn't work Monday, so plus I've got to take the young fella tomorrow and the next day because the missus has got to go to a wedding. So it's basically Rex on his own most of the week with 7 cars to tune in 5 days. It's great. Really good. All right, everything's working, everything's plumbed up, all the fittings and the Mac valve and stuff are tight. I didn't mount it back when they had it because for one, I think it's way too close to the dump pipe. I'm a bit worried about where it is even, but it doesn't appear that there is a plug for it on this side of the firewall. So it looks like it's been wired from this side through. So I can't really move it too far, but I moved it as far away from the dump pipe as I can. Mac valves by nature don't really like hot places too much. It's best to mount them somewhere that's sort of away from heat sources as best you can. So anyway, I've done my best with that to mount it as far out of the way as I can and tighten up all the fittings and everything's working. So from here, obviously apart from that oil pressure sender, which I still got to talk to the customer about whether he actually wants us to do that, just waiting for our filter and we're ready to go. So yeah, gang, let's get it. Also, power's back on. So that's not as scary as I thought. So hopefully that sort of stays this way.
Yeah, hopefully it stays on while I'm dyno.
Yeah, we'll find out. Send the old TD42 crank to the moon. Wow! All right, guys, we are on the dyno and ready to rock and roll tomorrow, which is awesome. So, managed to get a air filter. It got here today, which is good. And we did actually manage, we ended up just swapping out the oil pressure sensor that was faulty. So, we've got that all working now. And that's pretty much the end of it. This thing's ready to go. So Rex has started running this up today and we are leaking a heap of water out the thermostat housing. Like a heap. So let it cool down for a bit and have a look at that. Try again a bit later on. Yeah, she's a bit of water there. Bit of water going on. All right, so we found the problem. The problem was that whoever put the heater lines on literally just didn't do the clamps. They didn't put the positive pressure clamps on. They just pushed the heater lines on and left the positive pressure clamps right back, which now makes it a complete pain with everything in the way. And Rex is over here swearing and trying to keep his composure while the camera's on. But anyway, at least it should be a fairly simple fix, quick and easy, and we should be back going ASAP. Alrighty guys, so having a few little issues. Got a little bit of an oil leak which appears to be coming from the oil feed for the turbo, which comes out of an adapter block that's actually plugged into the standard oil pressure area at the back under the manifold there. So the problem with it is that the 1/8 MPT ports come off the side of the block. So it's tightened all the way around until it's hitting sort of the back of whatever it's hitting there. So you can't really tighten it anymore unless we take that line out, and you know, it's a pretty long process, so it'd have to be a manifold off process, which is a pain. So it's not too bad, just gonna keep an eye on it for now. But we are having an issue. This thing's getting to like 2 pounds of boost and the ECU is just flipping out. ECU just doesn't know what it's doing. It's losing its mind. Can't figure out how much air mass is going in. It loses a track of what air mass it's at. And so it starts just pulling fuel. You know, it's dropping the injector pulse width down to 0, pulling all the fuel out. And righto guys, we're back here with the VE. We've got it back on the dyno. So we got just a LSA 2-bar map sensor for it. Like I said, we've never really had a problem with stock map sensors, but I think I said that in this video, but me and Rex actually had a talk about it, a bit of a brainstorm about all the turbo Gen 4 cars that we have done. And when we think about it, 90% of them have been with a manifold change or an intake change, like an aftermarket intake manifold. So they all very well, although we never confirmed it, well we must have, we never thought about it enough, but we would have had to confirm it to change the scaling for the map sensor, but it very well, we could be wrong. It is very well possible that all of the turbo Gen 4 cars that we have done have had different map sensors in them, not the stock 1.5 bar ones. So This is basically our last ditch effort, is this map sensor. It's our last thing we've got to try with this thing. So fingers crossed it is the fix to our problems, and we can get this car sorted for the owner who's been waiting for a little while now, and we want to get it sorted for him, so hopefully, fingers crossed, let's see. So there you go guys, that was the issue the whole time. New map sensor has sorted our problem. So with the E38s, obviously there are a lot of different service numbers with slightly different OSs and stuff like that. I'm not sure if that plays a part into whether the 1.5 bar map sensor, they're supposedly a 1.5 bar, so they should be alright, but whether that plays into what ones might work and might not, I'm not sure. Whether we actually have had them running with boosted cars without a problem, I wouldn't be able to tell you because I cannot confirm. Like I said, a lot of those cars might have had aftermarket or different map sensors in them because a lot of them didn't have stock manifolds. So, but for whatever case, this 2012 VE didn't want to do it on the 1.5. On the 2-bar map sensor, it seems fine. Everything seems to be perfect. So, obviously, something for us to look out for to try and collate some data in future of whether any other cars work with the 1.5 or whether it is just something you have to throw in the bin as soon as you go boosted. I'm not too sure. So either way, this thing's on the way, which is awesome. Stoked to be able to get this done for the owner. He's been really looking forward to this car, so stoked that we can actually finish it off for him now, so that's awesome. So there you go guys, rolled off a 540 at the wheels, straight up on gate pressure, first run. So as you can see, there's no way that the standard fuel system was going to keep up with that. Just absolutely no way. So lucky we went through all that. But yeah, this thing, we'll talk to the owner about what he actually wants to make. You know, it is his first sort of turboed setup, so I'm not sure that he really wants a heap of power straight off the bat sort of thing. So, but we do have the e-boost, so we've got a few settings we can put in there for him. But this thing should be happy as at 600 wheel. Should be happy days. But anyway, that's it for this afternoon. We only just chucked it on here because we had a little bit of time because another car that we were meant to finish off this afternoon ended up, other things went wrong and it wasn't going to get done anyway. So we chucked this on the dyno Friday afternoon just so that we could hopefully just know whether it was going to work or not, this thing, and it has, so that's awesome. So we'll finish that off next week. Righto guys, so we're back here on the VE. Rex has been sorting this tune out for today. I haven't made any more content on this today, but I did get heaps of the power runs from the other afternoon, so it's much of a muchness. It's pretty much the same thing. Rex has just been working on optimizing the map, getting the timing and everything right. Even on gate pressure, we've managed to pump out a 604 at the wheels. It's a 601 run. We did have a 604, so this thing, even on gate pressure, which is what, 5.5 pounds, 6 pound?
It's, yeah, 6 pound.
6 pound. So gate pressure at 6 pound, this thing's still 600 wheel. So it's quite nuts. As you can see, the standard fuel system never stood a chance. I reckon even if we got the 3 pound gate in there, I still reckon it probably would have not kept up. But anyway, it's a moot point because that didn't happen. But absolutely outstanding results from this turbo. We're super impressed. For the fact that it's still only a T4 footprinted turbo, this thing is it's very impressive. So I'm thinking, you know, 600 should be fine. Obviously, there's plenty left in it. Rex is logging the duty cycle and the injectors. We're nowhere near the limit of these injectors. Rex is also logging the fuel pressure in the system. It is just starting to drop off up the top. So we are sort of seeing probably the limits of this fuel module, which is expected, being that it's at 800. Yeah, right where I expected it to be limited. So you've got an 800 horsepower fuel module, so you're looking at 800 crank. You know, in a perfect world, you know, 600 wheel, where you're starting to see the limit of it, that's fair enough. So obviously we've got the e-boost and everything in it anyway, so Rex is just going to chuck 10% duty cycle into the Mac valve at the moment, just to see what it does for our reference, but we're very likely just going to give this back to him at 600 horsepower. I think he's going to be stoked with it. At that power level, the clutch that's in it should be fine, the gearbox should be happy, he should be able to enjoy the crap out of this car. It's still more than he was bargaining for, and it should be more than happy at that sort of power level. So
I'll switch it over to SP2 and we'll just see what it does. I'm just going to keep an eye on that. We'll watch that fuel pressure after the run and check the scanner, and because I know what it's doing at the moment, and if it gets, obviously if it drops off more, then we know we're right at the limit. And I think we are. Towards the end of the run, it seems to drop around about 20 kPa.
Yeah, okay.
However, if you read the instructions from KPM, they reckon that
it should do that. Yeah,
so
they do say that. So anyway,
either way, I agree with you that this is going to be more than enough to scare the living pants off him. It's
yeah.
I just can't believe how easily it's just
making power.
It's not even trying.
Yeah.
Like,
it's just flowing.
Yeah, 540 straight off the bat. It was at 550 when I sorted the fuel out, and I've added just a few degrees of timing. It's gone over 600 just like that. Yeah,
so I should probably add that you should be able to tell from saying it's gate pressure, but this is the same, that 550 run that was in the last clip, it's at the same boost. All Rex has done is got the fueling sorted and just got the timing to where it should be.
Yeah, they haven't even taken it off gate pressure.
And that's what I mean by the hot side on this turbo is just doing so well for a T4. It's just eating it up. It's awesome. So, super impressed. Anyway, let's see what we can do. Alright guys, so as we suspected, put a little bit of duty cycle in it and fuel pressure starting to drop off pretty rapidly as soon as you start getting a bit more boost into it. So super happy where it is, and the owner's just going to have to see how it all goes with his turbo beanie on it being that close to that coil pack, but I dare say he is going to have issues with this, probably this whole bank honestly. I think it's probably going to end up having to have these coil packs remote mounted. I believe that's what's going to happen. Just based on my experience, I don't think even the turbo beanie, once the bonnet's closed, trapping all this heat, I think that these are going to suffer. But anyway, that's all teething issues for him to figure out. Again, it's his first time he's done a setup like this, so he's got a lot to sort out, but overall he's done a very good job. Obviously changing them plugs when we changed them plugs. Rex was cursing him for the manifold design, but you know, apart from that, he's done a great job considering. So I'd be stoked with this car. So it's a wicked car. So anyway, that's pretty much the final number. That 604 was the highest run. Rex pulled a degree back out of it, so pretty much consistent 600s. You're looking at 600 wheel horsepower at that. That guy's safe as houses, happy as, and he's got a lot of enjoying to do in this car. So hope you enjoyed the little series we had. Hope you learnt something from it, and we'll see you on the next one. Cheers. Peace out. See you. Bye.